Are you like me? Do you love it when the capitalist class contradicts itself and then exposes its own lies? Here's a perfect example of that with regards to the Skripal poisoning. Now, we are told that Russia allegedly poisoned the former spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia as an act of revenge for defecting. And there's many, many holes in the story and things that don't add up. Here's something interesting. The mainstream media contradicted itself and not only exposed the fact that it was lying, but that it may have also lied to Donald Trump. And by the mainstream media, I mean the CIA with regards to Donald Trump. Now, in a post made by the Durin, in April 2018, the Washington Post made an article about how when the Skripal poisoning case took place, Trump expelled 60 diplomats from Russia. But the UK, but France and Germany only expelled 4, and he was angry about that. The next day, when the expulsions were announced publicly, Trump erupted, officials said. To his shock and dismay, France and Germany were each expelling only 4 Russian officials, far fewer than the 60 his administration decided on. The president, who seemed to believe that other individual countries would largely equal the United States, was furious that his administration was being portrayed in the media as taking, by far, the toughest stance on Russia. However, on April 16th, 2019, the New York Times phrased that same incident a little bit differently. To persuade Mr. Trump, according to people briefed on the conversation, officials, including Ms. Haspel, also tried to show him that Mr. Skripal and his daughters were not the only victims of Russia's attack. Haspel showed pictures of the British government that had been supplied of young children hospitalized after being sickened by the Novichok nerve agent that poisoned the Skripals. She then showed a photograph of ducks that the British officials said were inadvertently killed by the sloppy work of Russian. Except here's the problem. According to the official story, the Skripals were poisoned by allegedly by putting the poison on the doorknob of their home. And then they went to a cafe, Zizi's, and then they went to some other stuff. So allegedly, they were poisoned between 1300 and 1330 hours. However, by 1345, they had already left the place, and on CCTV coverage, closed-circuit television recordings, they had gone and given bread to some boys, one of which had eaten the bread, and then had fed some ducks. But they were supposedly so contaminated that the table they sat at the cafe had to be incinerated. So here's the problem. The media never reported that any ducks had been killed, or that any children had been poisoned. This never happened. There have been no reports of dead ducks or sick children. Those children which were identified in the video were sent to be checked up on by doctors, and it turns out that they were not infected with anything. So, if this is true, where did that photo come from that got Trump so angry that he expelled 60 Russian diplomats? Did the CIA give a fake photograph to Trump in order to carry out imperial interest, that is, continue hostilities against Russia? Is that what happened? Because in the official story, that didn't happen. In fact, that's one of the problems of the official stories of the Skripal poisoning. If the story did happen the way that the UK claims it did, then those children and those ducks would have been poisoned, but they weren't. So it's very interesting to see the mainstream media contradict itself in this situation, and kudos to the Durin for pointing this out, and Moon of Alabama pointed this out as well. There's a huge gap in the official story of the Skripal poisoning here, and exactly what it is that got Donald Trump to eventually decide to eliminate or to send packing those Russian diplomats. So they got their story mixed up, because the poisoning of the children and ducks didn't happen. Maybe next time, when they want to push the lie of Russia supposedly poisoning people with Novichok, they may want to get their story straight. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.